The Warrior is one of the most commonly encountered Terminid species in the Helldivers universe, and it plays a vital role in the relentless expansion and survival of the Terminid faction. These creatures are the direct result of the Terminid species evolution, designed to function as highly mobile and aggressive units within their hive hierarchy. As medium-sized Terminids, they occupy a crucial position between smaller, less aggressive species like the Scavengers, and the more powerful and specialized creatures such as the Brood Commanders, or Hive Guards. Warriors are the quintessential frontline combatants, often deployed in swarms to overwhelm and incapacitate their prey, namely, the human Helldivers. The Warrior's anatomy is built around the concept of speed, aggression, and offensive capabilities. While it lacks the sheer brute strength and heavy armor of larger Terminids, the Warrior compensates for this with its nimble movements and razor-sharp claws, which it uses to deadly effect in close-quarters combat. It has two prominent claws that are capable of slashing and incapacitating its enemies within seconds, making it particularly dangerous when it can close the distance. These claws are its primary weapon, and are designed for rapid strikes that can sever limbs, rip through armor, and incapacitate any Helldiver foolish enough to get too close. The Warrior's moderate armor provides it with just enough protection to withstand a few hits from less powerful weapons, but it remains vulnerable to well-placed shots targeting its head or claws. These vulnerable points are the best places to strike when attempting to kill the Warrior quickly, making precision weaponry, such as a railgun or breaker, particularly effective. The Warrior's ability to rapidly close the distance with its prey is a testament to its incredible speed and agility. While it isn't the fastest Terminid in terms of sheer movement, its dexterity in combat is unmatched. The Warrior is able to quickly maneuver around obstacles and outflank opponents, using its agility to create openings and confuse its enemies. It's capable of performing pincer attacks, often working in coordination with other Warriors or smaller Terminid species to surround its target. This highly aggressive behavior makes it an incredibly dangerous opponent when not managed carefully. A typical Warrior will move swiftly and unpredictably, forcing the Helldiver to constantly adjust their tactics to survive. Warriors are also highly intelligent compared to many other Terminid species. They are capable of surprising tactical maneuvers, including flanking and ambushing. One of their more lethal traits is the ability to dive underground, allowing them to reappear unexpectedly and attack Helldivers from behind. This ability can be particularly devastating if the Helldiver is unaware of the Warrior's presence, as it can catch them off guard and force them into a dangerous situation. This underground ambush tactic makes the Warrior difficult to track and requires constant vigilance from the Helldiver. Furthermore, Warriors often travel in groups, making them even more dangerous when encountering swarms, as they can coordinate their attacks and overwhelm their target from multiple directions at once. In battle, the Warrior relies heavily on its claws for offense. Unlike other Terminids that might use ranged attacks or brute force, the Warrior's primary strategy is to slash and incapacitate. Its claws are sharp and precise, capable of quickly cutting through armor and flesh, which makes it deadly in one-on-one combat. However, the Warrior has no ranged weapons, meaning it must close the gap before it can engage in a fight. This makes it a high-risk opponent if allowed to get too close, but also vulnerable to long-range fire. A well-placed shot to the head can incapacitate or kill a Warrior before it can even get within striking distance, which is why snipers and precision weapons are so effective against it. However, the Warrior's aggressive nature is not the only thing that makes it dangerous. The berserk state that occurs when its head is severed adds an additional layer of complexity to its behavior. When a Warrior is decapitated, it enters a frantic rage, relentlessly attacking the Helldiver's last known position with heightened speed and aggression. During this berserk phase, the Warrior loses any sense of rationality and becomes an unstoppable force, charging at the Helldiver with reckless abandon. This makes the Warrior even more difficult to deal with, as its unpredictable nature means it can kill a Helldiver in seconds if they are caught off guard. The best tactic when dealing with a berserk Warrior is to immediately dodge or move away from its path, while firing at its limbs to disable it before it can cause further harm. The Warrior comes in a few distinct variations, each of which presents different challenges and requires different tactics. One of the most notable variants is the Bile Warrior, which is covered in bile sacs and spores. This variant has an unstable internal chemistry that can cause it to explode when hit with explosive weapons, releasing toxic bile and poisonous spores into the surrounding area. This makes the Bile Warrior particularly dangerous in close-quarters combat, as not only does it pose a direct threat with its claws, but its death can cause widespread damage to both Terminids and Helldivers alike. Another variation of the Warrior is the Hive Guard, a more heavily armored version of the creature. The Hive Guard is typically seen guarding hive entrances or acting as an elite warrior in charge of patrols. These Terminids have a stronger exoskeleton that offers increased resistance to damage, allowing them to endure more punishment before going down. While their offensive capabilities are very similar to the Warrior, their higher durability and more strategic placement make them a far more formidable opponent in certain situations. Hive Guards are often seen in the company of more powerful Terminid species, acting as bodyguards or advanced strike units. The Alpha Warrior is another variation of the Warrior that has been genetically enhanced by Alpha Commanders. This version is faster, more aggressive, and more dangerous than the standard Warrior, with a distinct reddish carapace that distinguishes it from the regular variants. The Alpha Warrior is capable of overwhelming Helldivers much faster than its regular counterparts, making it a priority target when encountered. Its increased speed and aggression mean that Helldivers need to be especially cautious when facing this variant, as it can close the distance and strike within seconds, potentially incapacitating them before they have time to react. The Warrior species is designed to be an adaptable and versatile combatant within the Terminid hive. Its combination of speed, aggression, and claw strikes makes it a formidable threat when engaged in large groups, and its intelligence allows it to execute tactical ambushes that catch Helldivers off guard. While its relatively light armor and lack of ranged weapons make it vulnerable to precise fire, the Warrior's ability to overwhelm its prey with rapid, coordinated attacks often leads to devastating results. Understanding the Warrior's weaknesses, such as its vulnerable head and claws, is crucial for Helldivers to survive encounters with these creatures. However, even with this knowledge, the Warrior's aggressive tactics and surprise underground attacks can still present significant challenges, making it a highly unpredictable and dangerous adversary on the battlefield. The Termin species are one of the most intriguing and dangerous factions in the Helldivers universe, their origins and evolution sparking numerous theories among scientists and Helldivers alike. As a group of species, Terminids are often considered an invasive force, constantly expanding and overwhelming new worlds they invade. Yet there are still many unanswered questions about their true origins and the factors that contributed to their evolution into such a formidable army. Some believe that the Terminids are native life forms, having evolved naturally on their homeworld, while others argue they were bioengineered by a mysterious intelligence, or perhaps even genetically modified over time into the species they are today. However, despite these varying theories, one thing is clear. The Terminid's evolutionary path is deeply intertwined with their unrelenting drive for conquest. The Warrior, specifically, represents a critical point in this evolutionary journey. It is often considered the natural progression of the scavenger species, adapting and evolving to become the frontline soldier of the Terminid armies. While scavengers were primarily concerned with consuming waste or leftover material, the Warrior has evolved to take on a more active and aggressive role in combat. Unlike other Terminids, whose evolutionary paths have led them to specialize in brute force, such as the Chargers, or biological weaponry, like the Bile Warriors, the Warrior is a generalist, a species that has evolved with a balance of speed, strength, and intelligence, making it a highly versatile unit in the Terminid hierarchy. The evolution of the Warrior is largely shaped by the need for the Terminid species to expand their influence and control over new territories, and the Warrior is a key tool in this process. Over time, this species has adapted to be able to rapidly overwhelm smaller and less protected prey, as well as to escort and protect higher-ranking Terminids, such as the Brood Commanders or Alpha Commanders. It has developed an aggressive and coordinated hunting strategy, moving in packs to overwhelm enemies, using both guile and brute force to outsmart and defeat targets. The Warrior's claws and agility are a direct result of this evolution, designed for rapid attack and efficient incapacitation of enemies in close combat, which serves the Terminid swarm tactics well. In comparison to other Terminid species, the Warrior is relatively small and light. While it may not have the sheer size or raw strength of creatures like the Charger or Hive Guard, its speed and agility make it a force to be reckoned with. unlike the larger Terminids that focus on absorbing damage and overpowering enemies with brute force. The warrior's evolutionary advantage lies in its ability to strike quickly and retreat just as fast. This hit-and-run tactic allows the warrior to avoid damage while dealing with multiple opponents at once, making it an extremely dangerous species in the right hands. Warriors, in particular, are known to exhibit a high degree of intelligence for their kind. They can strategize and cooperate with other Terminid species, such as spitters, bile spewers, and alpha commanders, to coordinate ambushes, surround Helldivers, or provide protection for more powerful Terminid species. This cooperative nature hints at the presence of a complex hive intelligence, with warriors playing a critical role in the execution of high-level battle plans. Their ability to ambush and adapt to battlefield conditions speaks to their evolutionary flexibility, as they adjust their tactics depending on the environment and the strength of the enemy. In terms of their place in the ecosystem, warriors are at the top of their food chain within the Terminid hive, acting as predators in their quest to expand the hive's territory. However, despite being formidable hunters, warriors are not completely impervious to harm. They rely on their speed and agility to avoid becoming prey to larger, more powerful predators, such as the brood commanders, alpha commanders, and hive guards, who might prey on the weaker members of the swarm. In turn, the warrior often acts as the first line of defense, protecting these higher-ranking Terminids from enemy attacks, ensuring that the rest of the swarm can continue to thrive. While the warrior's role as a predator is clear, its interactions with other factions, such as the humans, can vary depending on the environment. Warriors are highly adaptable, able to survive and hunt in a variety of ecosystems, whether it's the dark tunnels of Terminid hives or the open fields of alien worlds. However, the warrior is not always the sole threat. Larger, more specialized Terminid species might overshadow the warrior in terms of firepower and durability. In these instances, warriors become secondary attackers, harassing Helldivers and other opponents, while the bigger Terminids handle the bulk of the damage. Some scientists speculate that the warrior could be part of a greater evolutionary cycle within the Terminid species. It is possible that the warrior is merely an intermediate stage in the development of even more advanced Terminids, such as the bile warriors or alpha commanders. In this way, the warrior's evolution could represent an adaptive response to the need for more specialized and efficient soldiers. It is conceivable that warriors, in time, could evolve into even deadlier variants, with greater speed, improved armor, or even new biological weapons that could make them an even greater threat to Helldivers. The constant biological evolution of Terminids suggests that species like the warrior could mutate or adapt in unexpected ways, becoming more diverse and dangerous as new environmental pressures or battlefield experiences shape their genetic makeup. In conclusion, the warrior is a vital link in the evolutionary chain of the Terminid species, playing a crucial role in the swarm tactics that define the faction. Its aggressive nature, sharp claws, and high level of intelligence make it an effective frontline soldier in the Terminid arsenal. However, despite being a highly efficient predator, the warrior is also a product of a larger ecosystem, interacting with both other Terminids and external threats in a constantly shifting balance. As an evolving species, it remains unclear just how the warrior, and the Terminid species as a whole, will adapt to future threats or changes in the environment. What is certain, however, is that the warrior is not just a simple enemy to be eliminated, but a force to be reckoned with in the ongoing war between Helldivers and Terminids. The warrior's evolution will continue to shape its role in the Terminid hierarchy, ensuring that it remains one of the most lethal and dangerous species in the Helldivers universe. The warrior, a medium-sized Terminid species, serves as a key combatant within the Terminid faction, embodying a blend of aggressive behavior, rapid movement, and tactical prowess. Its design reflects a highly specialized species optimized for fast strikes, adaptability, and swarming tactics, all crucial to its role as a frontline fighter in the battle against Helldivers and other threats. Understanding its anatomy and morphology is critical for comprehending the warrior's strengths and vulnerabilities, and provides insight into its overall effectiveness in combat situations. The warrior's physical structure is an embodiment of function and efficiency. Its body, compact yet agile, is made for speed, allowing it to move swiftly across a variety of terrains. Its segmented exoskeletal plates provide essential protection to the internal organs, yet are designed with a trade-off between protection and mobility. Unlike the heavily armored Terminids, such as the Hive Guards or Chargers, the warrior's exoskeleton is less dense, giving it the ability to maneuver quickly, while still providing defense against light impacts. This decision to prioritize agility over sheer durability makes the warrior a more mobile, albeit vulnerable, adversary. Despite its lighter armor, the warrior is still a formidable opponent, capable of surviving sustained damage from smaller caliber weapons, although it is highly susceptible to energy weapons, explosives, and high-powered shots, particularly aimed at its joints or head. Its body is streamlined with a flexible yet robust exoskeleton that allows for rapid mobility. The thorax serves as the central point of its musculature, housing critical organs responsible for its quick movements and heightened strength. The warrior's front limbs are powerful, equipped with scythe-like claws that serve as its primary weapons. These claws can slash through both flesh and light armor with ease, capable of incapacitating a Helldiver in mere moments if given the chance to close the gap. The front limb's flexibility allows the warrior to make quick, precise strikes, utilizing the claws to rip into its opponents. The claws themselves are razor-sharp, capable of slicing through weaker armor and flesh effortlessly, delivering devastating strikes that can incapacitate a Helldiver before they have a chance to react. This ability to deliver lightning-fast slashes is the warrior's primary advantage in combat. The warrior's middle limbs, while slightly shorter than the front limbs, are stout and provide the necessary balance to maintain stability while executing rapid movements or attacks. These limbs act as stabilizers, helping the warrior maintain a low profile and avoid being knocked off balance. These limbs also assist with tasks like scaling terrain or quickly adapting to irregular surfaces, giving the warrior an edge in environments that might impede other species' movement. Its rear limbs, on the other hand, are long and powerful, enabling rapid acceleration and high jumps. These limbs are the driving force behind the warrior's swift and unpredictable movements, allowing it to launch itself at targets or leap across the battlefield in an instant. This agility makes the warrior particularly dangerous, as it can evade attacks while closing the distance between itself and its prey with shocking speed. These limbs allow the warrior to execute devastating pincer movements in concert with other Terminids, often catching Helldivers off guard. The warrior's sensory organs are adapted for its predatory lifestyle. Its compound eyes, similar to those of earthly arthropods, allow for exceptional peripheral vision, enabling the warrior to track even the slightest movement in its surroundings. These compound eyes likely allow the warrior to see in low light and detect rapid motion, making it particularly dangerous when attacking at night or from concealed positions. Its reliance on visual input, coupled with an acute ability to detect vibrations through its exoskeleton, means that the warrior can sense the presence of its prey even without direct line of sight. This heightened sensitivity to vibration likely aids the warrior in detecting the faintest tremors, such as the subtle movements of a Helldiver's shifting position. The warrior also has heightened auditory senses, with an ability to pick up on the vibrations and sounds around it. It may not rely heavily on traditional hearing, but its ability to sense even the slightest disturbances in the environment, like a Helldiver's footsteps or the faintest sounds of an approaching threat, provides the warrior with an advantage in sensing the presence of enemies. Furthermore, there is some speculation that the warrior may possess a form of pheromone detection or chemical sensing, allowing it to track its prey through scent. This would make it adept at following trails left behind by its quarry, ensuring it can maintain pursuit even when its prey tries to evade or hide. Internally, the warrior is equipped with an open circulatory system, which circulates hemolymph, a copper-based fluid, throughout its body. This circulatory system supports its rapid metabolism and gives the warrior the energy needed to sustain its high-speed movements and aggressive behavior. Its musculature is highly efficient, delivering bursts of strength during its attacks and jumps. The high-pressure circulation of hemolymph supports the warrior's agility, as it helps deliver oxygen and nutrients quickly to its muscles, allowing for swift and sustained combat. This system makes the warrior a relentless attacker, capable of maintaining its speed and aggression even in prolonged engagements. The warrior's digestive system is designed to process and rapidly convert its prey into energy. It likely possesses a specialized set of digestive organs optimized for high-protein, carnivorous consumption, enabling it to maintain the physical demands required by its predatory lifestyle. The digestive process likely happens quickly, ensuring the warrior remains nourished and energized for future engagements. Despite its strength and stamina, the warrior's most vulnerable points are its joints and head, where the exoskeleton is thinner and its claws are exposed. Successful attacks aimed at these points can incapacitate the warrior, either by reducing its mobility or by inflicting fatal damage to its nervous system. Though the warrior's exoskeleton offers a degree of protection, it is clear that the species relies heavily on speed, agility, and tactics to outmaneuver and outfight its enemies. While its body is not as heavily armored as some of the other terminid species, its rapid reflexes and ability to strike swiftly make it an incredibly dangerous adversary in close combat. The warrior's limb structure, senses, and internal physiology combine to create a highly effective predator, able to take advantage of its environment and the weaknesses of its prey. Understanding the warrior's anatomy is essential to effectively countering this dangerous terminid on the battlefield. Despite its relatively vulnerable exoskeleton and weak points, the warrior remains a fierce combatant, capable of delivering devastating attacks. Its rapid movements, strategic combat tactics, and agility make it a formidable foe for any Helldiver that underestimates its abilities. By targeting its weaker areas, such as its joints and head, Helldivers can mitigate the threat posed by the warrior, but only through careful planning and precision. The warrior is a relentless and efficient predator, its behavior driven by its role as one of the primary combatants within the terminid swarm. The warrior's hunting strategies are as much about coordination and teamwork as they are about individual aggression. Typically found in packs, warriors function together to corner and overwhelm prey, using their superior mobility, sharp claws, and aggressive tactics to incapacitate or kill anything they encounter. Unlike larger terminid species like the chargers or brood commanders, the warrior is designed for rapid strikes rather than prolonged engagements. Its attacks are swift and precise, focused on quickly closing the distance with its prey and delivering lethal slashes with its claws. The warrior hunts primarily through ambush and coordinated pack behavior, often attacking in groups to ensure that no target can escape. The warrior's speed and agility allow them to surround and flank their prey, cutting off avenues for escape while delivering devastating coordinated strikes. When attacking, they rely on both their claws and their ability to sense vibrations through their exoskeleton to track their targets, even in conditions where sight alone would fail. As a predator, the warrior does not rely on any ranged attacks. Instead, it uses its powerful claws to slash, disembowel, and incapacitate its prey with a few rapid movements. These attacks can quickly overwhelm unsuspecting targets, especially if the warrior is able to catch its prey off guard or out of position. However, their tendency to act in groups means that they often don't need to rely on stealth, instead using their numbers and aggression to force encounters. In the terminid social structure, the warrior occupies a mid-tier position. It is a primary combatant, but is not the highest-ranked species in the swarm. The queen and other high-ranking terminids, such as the brood commanders, control the overall strategy and direction of the hive, but warriors serve an essential function as the vanguard in the swarm's endless expansion and battle efforts. Warriors are typically tasked with leading smaller patrols, clearing enemy positions, or defending the hive's perimeter. They are often seen in escorts, accompanying more important terminids such as brood commanders or hive guards, ensuring the safety and security of the colony's critical leaders. Despite not holding leadership positions themselves, warriors are an indispensable part of the terminid hierarchy, serving under the strategic direction of the queen and other higher-ranking terminids. Their main role is to carry out direct attacks and secure territory, engaging in the kind of hit-and-run tactics that complement the overall battle plan devised by the higher-ranking members of their species. The warrior's life cycle follows a typical terminid pattern of growth, though there are some distinctions that make the warrior unique. It begins life as an egg laid by the queen, and the newly hatched larva or worker is extremely vulnerable. Initially, it is not equipped for combat or sustained activity, but is instead dependent on the care of the hive and its environment. The larva goes through a metamorphosis, which is a pivotal phase in its development. As it matures, it undergoes a series of physiological changes that transform it into a more robust and capable form, gaining the necessary structure, limbs, and attributes needed for its eventual role as a combatant. These changes include the development of its scythe-like claws, which will become its primary weapons in combat, as well as the strengthening of its exoskeleton to provide protection in battle. The metamorphosis is largely dependent on the environmental conditions and the availability of resources, with stronger individuals often being selected to develop into warriors, while others may develop into different types of terminids based on the needs of the hive. As it matures, the warrior undergoes a series of physical and psychological changes. It begins to exhibit more aggressive tendencies, signaling its readiness to leave the protection of the hive and join the ranks of terminid warriors. The warrior is equipped with a specialized set of limbs, sensory organs, and weapons that allow it to fulfill its role as a frontline fighter. Unlike other terminid species, which may remain tied to the hive or serve more specific roles, the warrior is given a degree of independence. Once mature, it becomes highly self-sufficient, capable of operating in various environments and hunting for food on its own, though it will always be part of a larger collective effort within the hive. The warrior's behavior is heavily influenced by its biological programming, which drives it to serve the needs of the hive. It follows a strict hierarchy, following orders from the queen and other higher-ranking terminids without question. Its aggressive nature is tempered by the broader goals of the swarm, though individual warriors may display differing levels of aggression depending on their situation or the presence of specific threats. When in the field, warriors may coordinate with other terminids in tactical operations, using pheromone signals or simple instinctual cues to synchronize their movements. Their ability to work in coordinated groups is a hallmark of their behavior, and their actions are usually governed by an overarching strategy that benefits the swarm as a whole. Defensively, warriors rely on their speed and agility to avoid damage rather than relying on substantial physical armor. Their claws are primarily offensive tools, but they also serve a defensive role in combat. When under threat, warriors can use their claws to defend themselves or engage in counterattacks. While they are not the most durable terminids, their reliance on aggressive swarming tactics and overwhelming numbers means that they rarely need to defend for long, as backup is always close by. However, they are known to go berserk if they are injured or beheaded, becoming more aggressive and charging at the nearest threat in a frenzy, which can make them even more dangerous in some situations. In conclusion, the warrior is a vital component of the terminid swarm. It is an aggressive, fast-moving, and highly adaptable species that thrives on coordination and teamwork, often hunting in groups to ensure success. As an evolutionary step in the terminid life cycle, the warrior's biological makeup allows it to be a flexible and efficient predator, designed for rapid attacks and overwhelming force. It is both a hunter and a defender, with its role in the swarm serving the needs of the colony as a whole. Understanding the warrior's life cycle, behavior, and interaction with other terminids provides invaluable insights into the strategies that Helldivers must employ to survive and defeat them in the ongoing war. The Warrior Terminid is a prime example of biological adaptation and survival efficiency, capable of adjusting to various environmental conditions and enemy threats. As one of the most widespread and numerous terminid combat units, its ability to thrive in diverse conditions is essential to the swarm's continued expansion and resilience. The species has developed a range of survival strategies, from its ability to exploit different terrains to its interactions with other factions and its tactical defensive maneuvers. These adaptations allow it to remain one of the most effective frontline fighters in the ongoing war against humanity. One of the warrior's most significant survival traits is its ability to thrive in different environments. Unlike some terminid species that rely on specific climates or hive conditions, the warrior is highly adaptable. Whether in dense jungle environments, barren wastelands, frozen tundras, or volcanic landscapes, warriors remain a constant threat. This adaptability is due to several physiological features. First, their exoskeleton provides a degree of temperature resistance, allowing them to function in both extreme heat and extreme cold. Their ability to burrow also provides protection from harsh environmental factors. If conditions become too hostile, warriors can retreat underground and remain dormant until more favorable conditions arise, allowing the swarm to endure prolonged unfavorable climates without suffering significant losses. The interaction of warriors with other factions plays a crucial role in their survival and expansion. Against Helldivers, warriors rely on their numbers, speed, and ambush tactics to overrun heavily armed opponents. Unlike larger terminids that rely on brute strength, Warriors use coordinated attacks, often flanking enemy positions and cutting off escape routes. Their ability to burrow and suddenly emerge from the ground makes them especially dangerous to Helldivers who assume their surroundings are clear. When engaging heavily armored or mechanized infantry, warriors will attempt to swarm their targets, striking at weak points such as joints or exposed sections. Their lack of ranged attacks is compensated by their overwhelming speed and aggression, which forces enemies to remain constantly aware of their surroundings. Against cyborgs, warriors operate differently. The heavily armored and technologically advanced cyborgs present a unique challenge, as they lack the vulnerability of soft, organic human soldiers. Warriors must rely on sheer numbers and targeting exposed areas of cyborg exosuits to gain an advantage. Unlike human Helldivers, cyborgs do not experience fear or hesitation, making intimidation ineffective. However, warriors are still effective in overwhelming cyborg forces through relentless assaults, particularly in large numbers where they can chip away at enemy defenses over time. Additionally, if a cyborg unit is compromised or immobilized, warriors will quickly move in to tear apart any remaining resistance. Within their own species, warriors play a crucial role in the hive hierarchy, but they are not independent operators. They function as enforcers and frontline troops under the command of brood commanders and hive guards. In battles where larger terminids are present, warriors will support these stronger units, harassing enemies while heavier terminids deliver finishing blows. In hive defense, warriors form the first layer of protection around nests and brood chambers, ensuring that any intruders are quickly neutralized. If a hive is under attack, warriors will form defensive barriers, using their superior numbers to delay or weaken attackers until reinforcements arrive. The defense mechanisms and escape tactics of the warrior are just as important as its offensive abilities. Though primarily built for aggression, warriors are not mindless attackers. They employ calculated defensive strategies when necessary. One of their most effective defensive tools is burrowing. When under heavy fire or unable to close the distance with an enemy, warriors will retreat underground to reposition themselves. This not only allows them to escape danger, but also lets them launch surprise attacks from unexpected angles. Burrowing is particularly effective in urban environments or rocky terrain, where enemies may assume the ground is stable, only to be suddenly attacked from below. Warriors also use deception and distraction as a survival tool. In some situations, injured warriors will continue to attack in a berserk state, drawing enemy attention away from the rest of the swarm. This distraction allows other warriors to reposition and strike from different angles. Additionally, their ability to surround and overwhelm targets in a pincer formation prevents enemies from focusing fire on any single warrior, making them significantly harder to kill in group combat. Another key survival strategy is their ability to adapt their attack patterns based on enemy behavior. Warriors are not entirely mindless. They respond to threats dynamically. If an enemy is using high-caliber weapons or explosives, warriors will attempt to flank and close the distance faster. If an enemy is using melee weapons, warriors will attack from multiple angles to prevent an effective counterattack. Their pack mentality allows them to learn from encounters, changing tactics mid-battle to increase their survival chances. Ultimately, the Warrior Terminid is an exceptional survivor, leveraging its adaptability, cooperation with other Terminids, and strategic escape tactics to remain one of the deadliest threats on the battlefield. Whether overwhelming enemy forces with sheer numbers, burrowing to avoid danger, or coordinating with more powerful Terminids, the warrior is an indispensable part of the Hive's war effort. Its relentless aggression and calculated survival strategies make it a formidable opponent that should never be underestimated. The Warrior Terminid is one of the most common yet dangerous enemies that Helldivers will encounter on the battlefield. While individually, they may not seem as threatening as larger Terminid units, their sheer numbers, speed, and aggressive behavior make them a serious threat, especially in chaotic combat situations. Warriors excel at overwhelming enemies through relentless assaults, and underestimating them can lead to quick and brutal deaths. Their combat effectiveness is not just based on their raw power, but on their ability to exploit weaknesses in Helldiver formations, flank unsuspecting soldiers, and create situations where retreat becomes impossible. In direct engagements, warriors rely on their speed and relentless melee attacks to overpower Helldivers. Unlike some Terminid species that employ ranged acid or explosive projectiles, warriors charge directly into battle, using their razor-sharp claws to strike down their enemies in close combat. Their attack pattern is simple but highly effective. Once they spot a target, they move in quickly, often weaving between obstacles or using the terrain for cover. Upon closing the distance, they launch a series of rapid slashing attacks with their claws, which can tear through armor and incapacitate a Helldiver in mere seconds. Warriors do not hesitate or retreat unless severely wounded, making them exceptionally persistent attackers. One of their most dangerous abilities is their ambush tactics. Unlike larger Terminids that rely on brute force, warriors are capable of burrowing underground and suddenly emerging behind enemy lines, catching Helldivers off guard. This ability allows them to bypass defensive positions, rendering static firing lines ineffective. In combat scenarios where warriors are involved, Helldivers must always remain mobile and aware of their surroundings, as a moment of complacency can result in an unexpected flanking maneuver. Warriors are also adept at coordinating their attacks with other Terminid forces. While smaller scavengers may serve as distractions, warriors use this opportunity to close the distance and strike when Helldivers are focused on other threats. In some cases, they will accompany larger Terminid units, such as brood commanders or hive guards, using their numbers to support these more powerful entities while simultaneously posing a significant threat on their own. Despite their combat prowess, warriors have several notable weaknesses that Helldivers can exploit. Their exoskeleton is relatively weak compared to heavily armored Terminids like chargers or hive guards. This means that most firearms, including standard-issue assault rifles and shotguns, are effective at taking them down. However, their durability varies slightly depending on the engagement level, with higher difficulty warriors displaying increased resilience. The head is the primary weak point, and well-placed shots can eliminate them instantly. Weapons with high penetration, such as the RS-422 railgun, are particularly effective at quickly dispatching warriors before they can close the distance. Additionally, while their claws are deadly, they can be shot off, significantly reducing their threat level. A declawed warrior will resort to desperate headbutts or stomps, which are far less effective and easier to avoid. Helldivers also have access to several countermeasures that can mitigate the warrior threat. One of the most effective strategies is maintaining distance and using heavy firepower. Weapons like the SG-225 breaker shotgun or the MG-94 machine gun are particularly effective, as they can cut down multiple warriors in rapid succession. Jump packs provide an excellent escape method, allowing Helldivers to reposition when surrounded or avoid an oncoming swarm. Additionally, deployable defensive tools such as the AX/LAS-5 Guard Dog Rover or Tesla Towers can provide automated suppression, preventing warriors from closing in. Explosives like grenades and mines are also highly effective, especially in situations where warriors are emerging from burrowed positions. In in-game combat scenarios, warriors often appear in large groups, frequently supported by smaller scavengers or more dangerous bile warriors. A common tactic in Helldivers 2 is to lure them into kill zones, where well-placed stratagems like orbital strikes or sentry turrets can eliminate large numbers at once. However, the unpredictable nature of warriors, especially their ability to appear from unexpected angles, means that even the most well-prepared teams can be overwhelmed if they lose situational awareness. Overall, the warrior is a highly effective combat unit within the Terminid swarm, posing a serious threat to any Helldiver squad that underestimates them. Their speed, aggression, and ambush tactics make them a persistent danger, but their lack of ranged attacks, weak armor, and reliance on numbers provide opportunities for skilled Helldivers to counter them. By staying mobile, maintaining distance, and using proper firepower, Helldivers can turn the tide against warriors and ensure that these relentless attackers do not gain the upper hand. The Warrior Terminid stands as a testament to the sheer adaptability and relentless aggression of the Terminid species. It occupies a critical role within the hive, serving as the backbone of their assault forces. Unlike the smaller and more expendable scavengers, warriors exhibit greater durability, speed, and combat effectiveness, making them a formidable threat on the battlefield. Their razor-sharp claws, aggressive melee attacks, and ability to ambush Helldivers from underground make them one of the most dangerous mid-tier enemies in the Terminid hierarchy. While they lack ranged capabilities, their speed and coordination with other Terminids allow them to swarm and overwhelm even well-prepared Helldiver squads. Compared to other Terminid subspecies, the Warrior strikes a balance between mobility, lethality, and resilience. It is far more dangerous than the Scavenger, which primarily serves as a disposable frontline unit, but lacks the heavy armor and sheer brute force of larger creatures like Chargers or Hive Guards. The Bile Warrior, a toxic variant of the Warrior, introduces an additional level of danger by exploding into hazardous bile upon death, creating an environmental hazard that forces Helldivers to constantly reposition. The Alpha Warrior, a more advanced strain, is even faster and more aggressive, making it a high-priority target in battle. These variations suggest that the Warrior is not a static entity in Terminid evolution, but a highly adaptable bioform capable of specialized mutations to better serve the swarm's ever-growing war machine. Looking ahead, it is likely that new variants of the Warrior may emerge in future updates, especially as the war against the Terminids escalates. We may see armored warriors with reinforced exoskeletons, making them more resistant to small arms fire. Stealth-oriented variants could develop enhanced burrowing capabilities, allowing them to strike from beneath Helldivers with even greater unpredictability. There is also the possibility of acid-spitting or venomous warriors, combining melee aggression with long-range capabilities, making them even more difficult to engage. These potential evolutionary advancements could further solidify the Warrior's status as a staple enemy in high-intensity combat zones. Ultimately, the Warrior is a prime example of the Terminid's relentless pursuit of biological perfection. While not the strongest or most heavily armored unit, its combination of speed, aggression, and numbers makes it a persistent and deadly foe. As Helldivers continue their fight against the insectoid menace, understanding the Warrior's behavior, weaknesses, and attack patterns will be essential for survival. Now, I'd love to hear from you. What do you think about the Warrior? Have you encountered any particularly intense battles against them? Do you have any favorite strategies for taking them down? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share if you enjoyed this deep dive into Terminid biology. Stay vigilant, Helldivers, and remember, only liberty stands between humanity and total annihilation.